everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Kathleen Mitford, the Corporate Vice President of Global Industry Marketing here at Microsoft, and I am so excited today to talk to you about two of my favorite topics, industry and AI. How many of you use AI in your daily lives? Show of hands. Okay, almost everybody. That's great to see at a tech conference. I can't imagine my life without AI. In fact, just this past weekend, the kids and I were putting up holiday decorations and decided to use Copilot to create a holiday card. So I asked my daughter, Victoria, what's your favorite thing about Christmas? And she said, going to the Nutcracker with Mommy. And I asked my son, James, what's your favorite thing? And he said, baking cookies with Mommy. And then I asked my husband, Mark, who's British, and he said it's doing Christmas crackers. And then Copilot generated for us this holiday card that captures the uniqueness of our family. Not sure if you can see the nutcrackers, the cookies, and the Christmas cracker in there. And that's what we're here to talk about today, is the uniqueness of industry and AI, and how, when we apply an industry context to AI, we can help our customers achieve the business outcomes that they are looking for in their business. If we take a step back 5 years ago, how many of you would have ever thought that we would be able to provide a personal tutor customized to every child with their unique learning needs? Or that we would be able to prevent malnutrition by being able to predict things that would impact crops, such as high heat, drought, or other conditions. Or even in healthcare, who would have thought that we would be able to see early signs of cancer? It is unbelievable, the achievements that we've seen in AI, and quite frankly, in just the past year. AI is transforming every individual, every process, every organization, and every industry. In fact, I often tell customers that if you have not already started on your AI transformation journey, you're late. Of the Fortune 500 companies, 60% are already using Copilot for Microsoft 365. And 65% of them are using Azure OpenAI. But it's not just about AI. Our customers started on their digital transformation journey 10+ years ago. And customers are able to adopt AI quickly because they're already managing their data in the cloud and because they have a strong data estate. AI needs data. And because of this foundation, we are seeing AI being adopted at a rate I have not seen in my long career in tech. And then when we look at Microsoft's industry approach, I mentioned that AI needs industry in order to really understand it. What a doctor is looking to do with a patient is different than a teacher with a student, which is different from somebody on a factory floor. So Microsoft's approach to industry is first, it starts with the Microsoft Cloud. The Microsoft Cloud is the most trusted and comprehensive cloud. With Azure, with M365, with Dynamics, with Fabric, and more. It is our strong foundation. On top of that, we apply industry-specific AI capabilities. For each of the industries you see on the slide there, we look to understand what are the customer's business challenges. How do those customers need Microsoft to engage with them? What do we need to invest in from an engineering standpoint that Satish is going to join me on stage to talk about? How do we help our partners on their journey? And Julie will join me on stage to talk about that. But then most importantly, it's about you in the room, our partners. At Microsoft, we provide the horizontal platform and rely on our partners to deliver the industry-specific applications. So I want to say a big thank you to all of the partners in the room. And when you combine these three items, the strength of the Microsoft Cloud, the industry AI capabilities, and the industry partner ecosystem, that is what allows our customers to achieve meaningful business outcomes and really transform their industry. And at the heart of all of this is trustworthy AI. As you heard from Satya this morning, trustworthy AI is critical to Microsoft. Security, safety, privacy, these are all at the foundation of us working with our customers and our partners on trustworthy AI, both in the commitments that we make and the capabilities that we deliver. And with that, I would love to invite Satish and Julie to join me on stage. Oh, Satish, you get to be in the middle, in between the two beautiful girls. So Satish and Julie, thank you so much for joining me today. So to start, can you tell us a little bit about your role at Microsoft? And then also, we're here in Chicago, your favorite Chicago memory, or favorite thing about Chicago.
Awesome. My name is Julie Sanford. I work in our Global Partner Solutions group. I have the privilege of leading our global GTM strategy programs and operations. And so I've been working in the partner organization for about 4 years, but prior to coming to Microsoft, I was a partner. So it's really nice to come home. My favorite thing in Chicago is something I don't have any time to do this week, which is the Magnificent Mile. I would like to be doing some shopping. But I did discover the West Loop. I didn't know that was like the spot to go, so I've had fabulous dinners since I've been here.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. I was also a partner before joining Microsoft as well, so we kind of understand a little bit the partners in the room.
I feel left out now. Satish Thomas, I'm the Corporate Vice President on the engineering side, leading our industry solutions, working alongside both of them. And best thing about Chicago, actually, I've only worked at Microsoft. I joined as an intern about 17 years ago, and I actually went to school in Chicago. So coming here is a very special time for me. The one thing I like, I'm a little scared to share this. There's the world's best sandwich. It's called 𝗦𝗽𝗀𝗶𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 on the south side, and just to set expectations really low, it's a hole-in-the-wall kind of place, but it's the world's best sandwich. So if you guys get a chance, it's called 𝗦𝗽𝗀𝗶𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀, and you can send me thank you notes later.
Well, if we get any breaks, Satish, we'll have to sneak out and go get a sandwich. Okay, well, Satish, starting with you and your team, you guys spend a lot of time with partners and customers talking about AI, talking about what they're looking to achieve, what they're seeing with customers. What are you hearing?
So, a few things, right? So I think let me just set some context before we get into it. So, if you look at the world today, about 50 years ago, Bill Gates and Paul Allen came out with a very famous statement. Anybody remembers what that could be, might be? It was a PC on every desk and in every home. And here we are, 50 years later, which is the almost equivalent of that, in my mind, is a co-pilot for every worker and in every industry. So I know we're all visual people, so I brought some slides along. Hopefully you guys can see it. So if you look at this 3.5 billion number, that's the number of workers we have across manufacturing, retail, public sector, agriculture, everything. So for all of us collectively, for all of this great tech to go beyond the West Coast of the United States or the Midwest, we need to make sure it becomes real for everyone in here. And there's about, the 3.5 billion number is the approximate number of workers across every industry. So that could be via the out-of-the-box co-pilots we have through the Microsoft applications, some of the role-based stuff, but ultimately, most of it will come via industry co-pilots, whether it's for workers in manufacturing, retail, public sector, et cetera. So this is the scale of ambition, and hopefully this is where, the potential for the work that we do collectively is super, super high. The second thing, actually, in terms of how this becomes real is, Kathleen mentioned this, but I love this because, when people talk about what is Microsoft's industry approach, it could be everything or it could be nothing. But the way to think about this is you've got Microsoft's general purpose cloud, planet scale infrastructure in Azure, low code, no code, and Power Platform, biz apps, Dynamics, data and Fabric. we take that, we tailor that for industry. So each of those horizontal applications have industry flavors to it. So the industry data solutions in Fabric, et cetera. You heard about the industry AI models earlier today. And then, of course, partner ecosystem. There's no way we get to that 3.5 billion number without partners, right? Partners who are marquee customers and partners across each of these industries. So that's a big part. And all of these together is how we get to most of that 3.5 billion workers. So this is where, how do we make this real in context of customers across every industry and every region? That's where a lot of these things come through. So hopefully that helps. And in case you didn't notice, this is my excited face.
I love that. I love that. Well, you always have your excited face, Satish, which I love. And I love a Copilot on every desktop. And Satish, it's hard to believe that it's just a little over a year since we introduced Copilot and the AI platform stack. What business outcomes are you seeing customers and partners looking to achieve?
So a couple of things. I think one is where rubber meets the road or rubber meets the skies kind of examples. And I think Satya touched on it earlier today in terms of how do we measure ROI when it comes to a lot of these industry use cases. So if we can I think there's couple of examples that I want to share, and I think the AI models we talked about earlier. The first one is Microsoft as a customer. So if you think about Microsoft, we probably have one of the biggest customer service organizations in the world. 1 billion customer interactions. We've got about 40,000 customer reps. So what does it mean? How do you find that information quickly? Time to deflection, time to resolution. So we essentially use Copilot in Dynamics 365 to basically get going on that. Now, if you look at it, what does that mean? What's the ROI? So just to give you a little bit of taste, we're on track to save about $100 million a year, going towards $400 million a year. So think about that for a second. Copilot scenarios in the context of customer service, saving, those millions add up very quickly. So this is where, again, an example of, again, the number of cases that can be resolved on first call, et cetera. So hopefully, all of you, in many cases, might have customer service-related touch points. So hopefully this is an example that, and again, these are repeatable patterns and applications that you can go make real as well. The other one that is very special to me is, this example around Albert Heijn. It's a leading supermarket in the Netherlands, and guess what? In a lot of cases, there's food that goes to waste, right? Because they're not able to sell it for whatever reason, et cetera. But wouldn't it be cool if we can leverage AI so that customers can make healthcare choices, but also to make sure that that food waste, in a world where people would do anything for some of that food, how do we reduce waste and make sure that goes to zero? So this is where, again, Albert Heijn is a great example there, but how did they use AI? Food waste has been reduced to 10%, so that's food that doesn't go into the trash or something else. And then more importantly, they were able to, light up some deals. So when things are getting closer to expiry, the deals get better, so somebody can go buy it, et cetera. So this is, again, you can talk about AI in abstract and everything, but this is where it makes business impact and also drives a lot of goodness for the world. So these are two examples, but of course we've got examples across, I think Alyssa Taylor, was it 2 weeks ago, 1 week ago, put out a blog post with 200 examples across industry. So hopefully this gives you a taste, but if you're interested, there's many examples across industries and regions that hopefully will inspire you to go do something with this as well.
I love those examples, Satish, both on the customer service side and then also on the personalized, shopping experiences. In fact, my husband just yesterday came home with all this meat that had been marked down, and he's like, I just saved $30 on meat, and it's went right into the freezer. So we're seeing it, in action. So Julie, you run our partner program, and I know that there's a lot that we do to kind of set partners up for success as they work with customers. Can you talk a little bit about some of those programs?
Yeah, so probably the most favorite thing I say is that we've got one Microsoft partner program. It's called the Microsoft AI Cloud Partner Program. And we've worked really hard to make sure that we're simplifying it for partners to engage with us. And so think of it as the one umbrella where we bring all of our investments and assets together across the whole of the life cycle of the partner ecosystem. So whether that's onboarding and you're new to Microsoft, whether it's skilling, both technical and sales skilling, getting access to GTM marketing resources, incentives, and then, of course, everybody's favorite topic is co-selling with our massive sales organization. And so, so we've worked really hard to make sure that we put all of the investment into that one umbrella investment. Now, partners earn designations and specializations, and we have over 500,000 partners in our ecosystem. So partners that do the hard work to earn the designations and the specializations are the ones that unlock the most benefits that Microsoft has. And so just to put that into perspective, we have about 13,000 partners that have earned those designations. So those are the partners that get prioritization with selling with our sellers. They get prioritization on our marketplace. It unlocks eligibility for all of the incentives. And for any of you that were listening to the general partner session just a couple of minutes ago, it is by far Microsoft's biggest GTM investment we make as a company. Billions of dollars. And so really earning these designations for partners is the way to unlock all those resources. What it means for our customers is they understand the value of partners earning these badges. And so we are constantly doing awareness with our customers so that they know to pick and work with the partners that have earned these specializations and designations.
That's great, and I just want to highlight there that these are both product designations with like Azure, but also industry designations. So partners can get both a product level certification and also the industry as well.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. So Julie, how do you see partners embracing these benefits?
Yeah.
And then what does it mean to customers when partners embrace these benefits?
So the first one is what you were just hitting on. So last July, I think it was about a year ago, we launched our first set of industry designations for our software development partners. And so we're seeing them earn them across 5 industries that we have live today. And that, again, unlocks priority sequencing on our marketplace, so it gives partners access to all of Microsoft's customers, as an example. And then from an AI skilling perspective, so we've taken all of our horizontal MS Cloud content, both from sales and technical and delivery, and then we've put an industry veneer on top of that to make sure that it's relevant. So we've done a significant amount of investment there. And then we do have dedicated industry workshops that we're seeing partners really, really hit on and access. And we've got all of that not only in person, but it's available on demand as well.
I love that. And I can say also from the industry marketing perspective, we do look for which partners have that industry certification when we're looking at who are we highlighting in our keynotes, who are we having in our booths. So that's great. And can you share a little bit more on the partners that you're working with? What use cases, what business outcomes are they seeing as being, top of mind for both the partners and the customers?
Yeah, I'll just hit on a couple. Manufacturing customers, they're talking a lot about accelerating product development through generative design. From a retail perspective, they're talking about personalized shopping. I think we've heard that a couple of times today, but that's through natural language. And then finally, our healthcare customers, especially with DAX coming into our portfolio, just documenting care and streamlining workflows around that voice-enabled AI. So those are just a couple of examples that we hear them talk about.
Those are great use cases, and also they're evolving so quickly too. I often share with my team, we published the top use cases per industry 6 months ago, and then just refreshed it, just back in October because again, we're learning so much, and customers are sharing so much with us. All right, so maybe my last question for both of you, what's next? We've talked a lot about the great engineering investments, the partner investments. What's next? What are you excited about?
So I can go first, maybe. So one is maybe 3 things. So one is, if you look at Microsoft's industry approach, it's very durable, but of course, the use cases, the partners, et cetera, kind of tweak. And I think one of the things, hopefully, that all of you saw today is, and then just broadly at the conference is, when I say Microsoft Cloud for Industry, I always pause. It's the Microsoft Cloud for industry across everything that we have and the partner ecosystem. So that's one. So you'll see us do a lot more, both as a company and more importantly as an ecosystem together. The second is the power of the Microsoft Cloud. And I think there's a few key things. We talked about all of the things we talked about, and it's across everything. Infrastructure, so the work we're doing for regulated industries. In Azure, we have regulated environment manager on Azure that enables public sector and regulated use cases. On the data side, we talked about some of the work we're doing across industry data solutions and Fabric. And then the last one, and I think the most important one in the context of everything we're talking about here, is the work we do around industry AI models. So how many people heard about the announcement in the keynote today around industry AI models? Yes, thank you. And so I think this is where, again, if there's one thing that all of you take away, it's, you've got these foundation models that are great at summarization and generic tasks. But when we think about that 3.5 billion, it requires a lot of continuous pre-training with industry-specific data. So that's where we're very excited about the work we're doing there around industry AI models alongside our partners, and also for a lot of the work that we'll do 𝗦𝗽𝗲𝗸𝗶cie as well. So keep note of that one. And then the third one I'd say is obviously nothing earth-shattering for this group, but it's the, Microsoft at the limit is a partner and a platform company. So a lot of the work that we do together is what's going to enable us to get to as many of those 3.5 billion workers across every industry and in every region.
Awesome. Julie.
So building on that, we are going to add incremental industries to our designation program for our ISVs and software developers. And then there's been a tremendous amount of demand for us to actually look to make sure that we've got industry designations aligned to our services partners. So that is something that we're working on right now and hoping to bring to market in the next fiscal year. We will continue to invest in all of our skilling, so you'll expect to see us doing more of that. And then the events that you mentioned, I can't stress how important it is that we will continue investing as Microsoft, but again, partners that are earning those designations, and as you share your customer stories with us, that's really what resonates in these moments. It's what we like to put in our press releases, it's what we like to put in our blogs, it's what we like to talk about when we're up on stage, so you'll see us just continue to invest from that perspective.
I love that, Julie. I tell my team, I want every single reference that we do to have a partner and multiple partners, software development partners, SIs, because that's how we all go to market. Well, Julie and Satish, thank you so much for joining me. It's been a great conversation here.
Cool.
Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Great. And now we've talked about how important partners are. I would love to invite two partners to join me up here on stage. We have Kathie Johnson, the CMO of Sitecore, and Sandra 𝗦𝗽𝗲𝗸𝗏, I probably chopped that one up, I'm sorry, the SVP of Alliances and Partnerships for Cognizant. Thank you guys both so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having us. It's great to be here.
Yes, it is great to be here in a packed house. So first, I would love for both of you to just share a little bit about yourself, your role, and the company that you work for. So Sandra, how about we start with you?
Sure. Thank you, and it's great to be in my hometown. Great to have Microsoft sponsoring the event here. So I run, like was said, I run the partner organization for Cognizant. Similar to how Microsoft has been investing heavily in their partner program, we too at Cognizant are investing in our partner ecosystem. I joined about 1.5 years ago, and I come from a background of IT services, working for Gartner for 15 years and investment banking prior to that. So I bring a different lens to the investments that we're making around our partners. The company that I work for, Cognizant, is a global professional services company. We are focused on helping companies, businesses modernize and digitally transform. We do that with a comprehensive suite of offerings across cloud and AI. We focus on applications and platforms. We look at the business process layer, particularly from a vertical market lens, but also from a functional lens. So there's a big change management component to what we do. We've been around for 30 years, and part of the reason why we've been so successful over the last 3 decades is because our model allows us to continuously reinvest in who we are. So for example, some of the investments we're making today, we've committed $1 billion. We're in year 2 of a multi-year reinvestment in the company around AI, $1 billion, and that includes with our partners, that includes reskilling people like myself, upskilling. We are investing in industry solutions, so that is a really important part of our reinvestment. We also use our capital to invest in companies that expand our ecosystem of services. So for example, we acquired a company by the name of Belcan that propels us more into engineering, research, and development, and also propels us into the aerospace and defense arena. So that's a good use of our capital. And of course, because we are a professional services company, it's really important for us to constantly reinvest in our people. So that's another element of our example of our investment strategy. We're 340,000 people, 20 billion in revenue, and Microsoft is a very important partner to us.
Great. Kathie, how about you on Sidecar?
Yeah, absolutely. Kathie Johnson, Chief Marketing Officer at Sitecore. Been there a year and a week tomorrow, so which is just a fantastic place to be. So Sitecore's been around for over 20 years. We're in the digital experience space. We're really integral in really creating that category of CMS, think websites. Also the first to introduce composable to DXPs, and now most recently, along with Microsoft, launched what we call Sitecore Stream, which is the first intelligent DXP. So everything from content to experience to commerce is what Sitecore brings to market.
Excellent, and I love that we have a software development partner and an SI on stage with us here. So we talked a lot with Satish and Julie as to what we're seeing from a Microsoft on what's happening with AI and the top use cases. Would love to hear from both of you. Kathie, maybe starting with you.
Sure. Yeah, so I just mentioned Sitecore Stream. We just launched it last month. We'll talk a little bit about that in a moment, but we co-innovated it with Microsoft, with companies like Nestle, as well as some other companies.
Great example of the references we were just talking about.
Absolutely.
Sitecore, Nestle, Microsoft. Sorry for interrupting you.
Absolutely, yeah. Love to share those examples. But one of the things we really did is we worked with marketers to develop a solution for marketers, again, across that content and experience space. And so we really said, what are the things that marketers need? And there are really 5 key areas. One is around how do I make sure that my brand is consistent everywhere? That's number 1. 2, how do I leverage insights and knowledge in order to create the most efficient brief? 3rd, content. How do I leverage AI within content to ensure that I can create all of that derivative content in a very scalable way? 4th is, how do I deliver that content to all of those delivery mechanisms? Think website, think TikTok, think Facebook and all of those. And then lastly, how do I bring those insights back into everything I do? So working with Microsoft and working in Sitecore Stream, we came up with 5 co-pilots. Co-pilots is definitely the topic of conversation today. The brand co-pilot, which helps you manage your brand across all of your agencies, all of your marketers. The campaign co-pilot. If you're not in marketing, when you get a brief wrong, you have lost a lot of money and time. So if you're not in marketing, it might not resonate with you, but campaign briefs are really important. So we have a campaign pilot. We have a content pilot. How do you take that content and create the derivative assets? An experience co-pilot. How do you bring that out to market with all the insights and testing so you really create those user journeys? And then lastly, the analytical pilot or the optimization co-pilot. How do you make sure you're taking all of your learnings, all of your insight, and creating very targeted, industry-specific content and market?
As a marketer, Kathie, those are like excellent use cases for AI, ones that we're doing it at Microsoft as well.
Yeah.
So that's great.
Articulated quite well. So I'll start with a little data, if I may, Kathleen, first. As you can imagine, as a system integrator, we work with many customers. Global 2000 is our core market. Currently, we have over 1,000 use cases that we're working on in the area of generative AI in particular. That's up from 750 last quarter. The 4 categories that we seem to see these use cases consolidating around, purely tech for tech, so using Copilot as an example to drive the improved software development cycle. We also see the category of customer and employee experience, certainly improving on that. Content generation, So I think that's a really important area that's starting to see a little bit of waning, but certainly still in the top 3. And then content creation, which seems to be bubbling up. From a vertical market lens or from an industry lens, the top area of use cases or the top demand we're seeing for active use cases is from our retail sector, retail and CPG. Second would be communications, media, and technology. A lot of demand in that vertical. And then banking, financial services would be third, and then I'll follow it with life sciences, and then it kind of trails off. But in the area of, for example, retail, we're working with Microsoft to create the Store Assist, and I know that there's a lot of talk about maybe, productivity isn't necessarily as important as maybe finding the business outcomes. But what we see with Store Assist is that when you can actually enable the store associate with the tools that they need to do their job better, and maybe, let's say, for example, cover the floor in stores that you don't typically get customer experience, like a Target, that changes the customer experience. It increases the receipts at the end of the day. What does that do over the long run? It drives up same-store sales. So, you have that productivity benefit that, if you think about it, productivity has a network effect. So once you can expand that productivity across your organization and not look at it necessarily as a step function, but more exponential, it really has such an impact on the economic value that I think a lot of companies are looking for.
I love that, Sandra, where companies are investing in AI first with the productivity and using the productivity savings to then invest in areas that are going to help them expand their business and increase their revenue.
That's right.
It's a similar pattern that we're seeing at Microsoft as well. Now, I also know that at Cognizant, you've invested a lot in skilling and enablement with the Microsoft partnership. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So we can only be good for our clients if we are super smart on your technology. So with Microsoft, we have co-developed a skilling program called Caliber, as an example. This is a program that we launched across our organization. Many of our employees have been through this training program around cloud, around AI, around Copilot, around security. So it's an integral part of who we are to be a capabilities-ready company, capabilities-ready workforce. And so not only does that help with where demand is today, to be able to deliver on what clients are looking for today, but that also brings the better positioning for the demand that we expect in the future. So, I talk a lot about those particular areas of technology, but we also have that industry lens that is very important to connect with the core technology functions. So the combination of those two in partnership with Microsoft really critical. A couple of other areas, we are customer zero, so we invest a lot. We have investments along the technology stack. We invest in our operations so that we can take advantage of what Julie was talking about with the investments that you're making in your partners, because it's complex. As much as you think you're simplifying it, it's very complex. So we've made those investments as well. So.
That's great. And I like some of what you talked about is that we're doing this together, because the reason why we do this together with partners is to help just customers move faster.
Right.
Kathie, how about you? What are you seeing from the customer side?
Yeah, for sure. Let me first start a little bit on the partner side too, because I think there are a lot of partners in the room. And if you are an ISV partner, just want to talk through, there are really three ways that we're partnering with Microsoft and seeing a ton of benefit there. One is in the marketing. Right, we're doing things with Microsoft, everything from research. We just launched our first research report last week around from content to experience, how AI is shaping the future of marketing, but also doing events, and Alyssa mentioned that as well, such as NRF and other activities. The second is around co-selling, which is just, of course, when magic comes together. And then the third is around co-innovating, and this is where the customers come into play. I mentioned this a moment ago, but we worked with Microsoft, worked with Nestle to really build our new offering, which is an add-on called Sitecore Stream that sits on top of and embedded within our content and experience. And you know, one of the things that's just so amazing is how are marketers and industries using AI today and using solutions such as that from Sitecore. And 𝗦𝗲𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀, who's the global CMO of Nestle, has said that this is the future of content operations. And what they're doing is they're leveraging the brand-aware AI, they're leveraging the brand co-pilot, and they're actually improving how they do campaigns across all of the multiple channels. How do they ensure that that brand is consistent? I mean, they have 15,000 marketers in 185 countries. You know, and how are they ensuring that those agencies are always connected? So it's really exciting to see, and Ode helped us launch it last month, how companies such as such as Nestle are using this innovation to, both from a productivity perspective, but also extending their reach in market consistently across all their brands.
That's great. I love that story with Nestle. And I also love in working with Sitecore that you've really figured out how to do the co-innovation, the co-market, and the co-selling with Microsoft. Yes. So we might need to have some follow-up, you know, little reference case study.
Kathleen.
Because I'm sure, you know, that the partners in the room would love to hear more about that.
Absolutely.
So I'd like to end with quickly, can both of you share, like, what's next? We've learned so much. What do you think is next as we move forward?
What's next? That's such a big question because obviously we're at such a, you know, the word of the day, paradigm shift. I do think that from my vantage point, I think that we've never been at a time where the importance of stitching together what multiple technology companies can bring to the client has been more important. Mm-hmm. So, you know, competition becomes a partner. Even in our world, in the IT services world, where it's so hyper-competitive and you think, well, every company is very similar, we're finding ways to partner with companies that can augment who we are and we them, and we, you know, join forces. In the broader technology industry, you know, our value is our industry knowledge. And so, you know, we bring that industry knowledge, we sit at the center of best of breed partners, and being able to create solutions that can hit the market fast and can scale is really critical. So I know we talk a lot about sales enablement, but I personally think that this is one of the most important times to really double click on sales enablement so that we can bring value to our customers jointly faster. That would be an example of what I think. I mean, it's a big question, Kathleen, but I think that's kind of where I would hone in on for that.
I agree on that. We ask a lot of our sales teams.
Yeah.
You know, both of the Microsoft sales teams and our partner sales teams. Yeah. There's a lot of technology they have to learn. There's a lot of use cases we expect them to learn. So just making it simple for them.
Yeah.
True.
Kathie.
From my perspective, I'll start by saying I'm old. So
you are not old.
I am old. I was in marketing when the internet became a thing. So many of you younger won't understand that. But back in those days, I worked for a company who had been around for over 30 years and said, I want to build a website. This is a thing now. And everybody was afraid of it. Nobody wanted to do it. Like, it was crazy. And I grabbed the head of IT and actually built the very first website for this company who had been in business for 30 years. I think everybody in this room and around the world, we need to embrace AI, because can you imagine a company today who didn't have a website? This is going to be the same paradigm that we've seen with that. The second thing I would say, because we're talking about AI in industries, this is like a beautiful moment where we can really tap into that explosion around how do we tap into every industry? How do we really do hyper-personalization? How do we communicate with each individual the way that would resonate the most with them? And I think that every company needs to really be looking at how you take advantage of that.
Great insights from both of you. I can't thank you both enough, Kathie and Sandra, for joining us on stage here. Really great insights. And I look forward to seeing what we do together.
Yes,
absolutely.
We do too.
So do we. Thank you, Kathleen.
Thanks, Kathleen.
Great. Thank you. Well, to wrap up, I just want to thank everybody for coming to our session, for being a Microsoft partner and a Microsoft customer. But I also want to make sure that you have full visibility to the programs that we invest in for your success. So I see a lot of people taking pictures. Take a picture of this slide and make sure that you are up to speed on the Microsoft programs. We talked a lot about skilling today and the skilling program, so you're up to speed on our latest technology. These certifications, please get your industry certifications, get your product certifications. I would love to highlight you at our different events in Microsoft's marketing. On the go-to-market, we have a lot of great go-to-market assets for you for marketing campaigns in a box that we can do together. And then our offerings. Julie talked about the Microsoft Cloud AI partner program. So really taking advantage of all of the programs that Microsoft has. So again, thank you. I appreciate each and every one of you and hope that you enjoyed this session today.